Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel, or welcome back to my podcast if you're listening to this episode in the audio version only. My name is Rux, I'm a Western tropical astrologer, and today we are going to be talking about your September horoscopes. But before we do that, let me mention a few important things. I'm a Western tropical astrologer, therefore all videos on my channel and all episodes on my podcast will follow Western tropical astrology. In my practice, I use the whole sign house system. If you use a different house system, then that's absolutely fine. Just know that these videos, my horoscopes, and also the work that I do with clients follows the whole sign house system. Speaking of the work that I do with clients, if you want to work with me, and if you have not worked with me in the past, you can find me on my website, which is written in the stars-astrology.com. In the services section on my website, you can find the 1 hour live Zoom consultation service that I recommend booking. It is a live video consultation that will also be recorded, and you can re-listen to it as many times as you need to, unless you ask me not to record it. Obviously, in the 1 hour live Zoom consultation, we can dive into your natal chart. I can answer specific questions regarding your year ahead. If you are already familiar with your natal chart, then we can certainly focus our attention specifically on the year ahead or on major topics of interest, such as relationships, career, finances, and so on. Or we can look into your astrocartography. We can assess compatibility with someone else. The 1 hour live Zoom consultation is completely customizable to your needs. I generally recommend kicking it all off with the natal chart, with the analysis of the natal chart, if you have not already had someone analyze your natal chart in depth. Also, big announcement, especially for existing clients. I've been receiving a lot of messages asking me, Rux, when are you going to do the year ahead recorded readings? And as an existing client, right now, if you go on my website, you can go for the 1 hour year ahead consultation, which is also going to be done via Zoom. So we will get together at an agreed time via Zoom. I will dive into the year ahead for you using a variety of forecasting techniques, including annual perfections, transits, secondary progressions, solar arc directions when necessary. Of course, this consultation will also be recorded, so you can go back to it throughout the year. And please keep in mind that moving forward, this is actually quite a big announcement, I will no longer be doing audio recorded readings only. So from now on, I will only be doing live Zoom consultations, which again, I will remind you of this. They will be recorded so that you can re-listen to them at a later date, so that you can take notes and so on. In a nutshell, if you are a first-time client and you want to understand your natal chart better, or you want to focus on the year ahead, or you want to get some astrological insights on specific areas of interest in your life, such as relationships and so on. So for a first-time client, you can go on my website and book the 1 hour live Zoom consultation. If you are an existing client and you are interested specifically in the year ahead, then you can go to my website and book the year ahead live Zoom consultation, which obviously has a preferential rate for existing clients. Let us dive into the astrology of September, folks, because it is going to be an interesting month. We're going to be doing a lot of Virgo and Libra things. So we're going to be working a lot. We're going to be cleaning messes a lot. And sometimes that's a great thing. I mean, in most cases, that's a great thing. The only downside to that might be that there's a lot on our plate that we actually need to clean up. And of course, we're also going to be doing a lot of negotiating, meeting people halfway, working in a team, collaborating, maybe even feeling like we've got to make some compromises, because hey, that is what the Libra energy expects us to do. And for some people, of course, it's going to be easier than for others. So let's look at the key dates of September, and then of course we are going to dive into the update for each of the 12 zodiac signs. Remember to listen to the update for your rising sign, if you know your rising sign. If you don't know your rising sign, then I strongly recommend finding out your time of birth and going online and generating your natal chart. This is something that is done for free. You can use websites such as astro.com or AstroSeek. And once you find out your rising sign, please listen to the update for the rising sign, because this is the closest thing that you can get to a personalized forecast done by an astrologer. Like I said, when I work with clients and when I do forecasts for the year ahead, we use a combination of techniques, not just transits. Transits are just one forecasting technique. Generally working with several and kind of like piecing them together results in a much more accurate and insightful depiction of what awaits us, but also of how we can make the most of the energies of the year ahead. So September, going back to September, key dates on the 3rd of September and also on the 18th. By the way, probably one of the most important events of September is the Mercury retrograde. The month kicks off on the 3rd of September with a Mercury-Jupiter opposition. Mercury is in Libra and Jupiter is in Aries. This opposition will happen again on the 18th of September. So when Mercury will already be in retrograde, because it goes retrograde on the 10th of September. What can we expect from a Mercury-Jupiter opposition? Well, certainly sometimes it may feel like we have to choose our words more carefully so that we do not upset people whose beliefs are different from ours. And sometimes it may feel like we need to be more diplomatic in our speech, in the way that we express ourselves, even though from a belief system standpoint, we are much more adamant about what is the truth and what is right and what is wrong, and we may feel actually more compelled to fight and to defend, to fight for and to defend what we stand for, kind of like morally. I'd say there may be a feeling of, let's say, having to compromise so that we can continue to work with someone, so that we can continue to get along with someone, having to compromise by being more gracious in our speech on the 3rd of September and on the 18th of September. Then on the 5th of September, Venus moves into Virgo until the 29th. On the 29th of September, Venus enters Libra. Venus in Virgo doesn't necessarily like to be there because, let's face it, Venus wants enjoyment and pleasure and sensuality and meeting people halfway and doing things in partnership with others. And the energy of Virgo is very, very critical, very analytical. It is prone to kind of, well, I want to say splitting hairs, and we do not want to be splitting hairs when we're trying to just have a good time with someone else. Saying that, during Venus and Virgo times, we are likely to get more enjoyment out of Virgo type of activities, such as cleaning up our cupboards, such as maybe cooking and kind of like getting into a new routine with healthier habits and so on. So there is definitely ways in which we can constructively make use of the Venus in Virgo transit. On the 10th of September, we have a full moon in Pisces at 17 degrees of Pisces, forming a harmonious aspect to Uranus in Taurus. Well, the first thing that I would say, folks, on the 10th of September, well, really look back at what was going on in your life around the, bear with me. So earlier this year, when we had a new moon in Pisces, this actually happened on the 2nd of March. So have a think about what you kicked off around the 2nd of March, because that may come to a culmination, to a completion around the 10th of September, a few days before, a few days after. this full moon is likely to pinpoint towards maybe some aha moments, some revelations from a spiritual standpoint. We may also feel fulfilled. We may also feel a sense of accomplishment when it comes to things that we did out of the goodness of our heart. So when it comes to maybe charity, when it comes to maybe, like I said, giving selflessly to others. On the 10th of September, Mercury also stations retrograde, and it will apparently, because we know that the retrograde motion is only apparent, it will apparently appear to go backwards until the 2nd of October. Mercury is going to spend some time in retrograde in Libra and sometime in Virgo. So on the 23rd of September, actually, Mercury re-enters Virgo, okay? It actually ends the retrograde. Let me quickly double check so that I don't say things that aren't accurate. But off the top of my mind, I think it will end the retrograde in Virgo. Let's see. Bear with me, folks. Yes, that is correct. It will end the retrograde at 24 degrees of Virgo on the 2nd of October. Now, let us move forward into September. 11th of September, the Sun in Virgo is trining Uranus in Taurus. This is interesting because Mercury is already retrograde at the time. And it feels like we are surprised to see something coming to fruition, something that we've put a lot of time and something that we've put a lot of attention and care and fastidious effort into. Something is coming to fruition, let's say. On the 16th of September, the Sun in Virgo will oppose Neptune in Pisces. Here is where we realize that even though we may feel quite far away from the realization of an ideal or of a dream, we still gotta keep working. We still gotta keep at it and go through the daily motions and be consistent, even if there's sort of this ideal that feels very much out of reach for the time being, at least for the time being. On the 18th of September, like I said, Mercury opposes Jupiter once again, Mercury in Libra. On the 19th of September, the Sun in Virgo trines Pluto in Capricorn. I'll tell you this, folks, even though Mercury is retrograde this month, well, in September, actually, because I'm filming this in August, even though Mercury is retrograde, it does feel like we are wrapping up a lot of work that was outstanding, that was maybe supposed to be finished for some time, which is something that I'm very excited about, to be fair. If there's one thing that Mercury retrograde is really, really good at, it's helping us tie up loose ends, especially when it comes to matters that we weren't necessarily very satisfied with, kind of like how we left or where we left them off. 20th of September, Venus in Virgo is trining Uranus in Taurus. This feels like a romantic day where we're maybe kind of like working out together with someone, and we're just kind of like having a good time, or we're doing something productive. We're maybe like offering our services, and at the same time we're really enjoying the connections that we're forming with others. We may feel inspired to create something beautiful that will have some sort of impact upon our day-to-day lives. I'm liking it. I'm definitely liking it. 23rd of September, the Sun moves into Libra, and Mercury, which is in retrograde, comes back into Virgo. On the 24th of September, Venus in Virgo is going to oppose Neptune in Pisces. Yeah, here is where we might realize that we were a little bit off. We were a little bit deluding ourselves when it came to maybe a romantic partner or a specific relationship in our lives. On the 25th of September, we have a new moon in Libra at 2 degrees of Libra, and Venus, the dispositor of the new moon, is going to conjunct Mercury in retrograde in Virgo. 26th of September, Venus in Virgo will trine Pluto in Capricorn. 27th of September, Mercury in Virgo will trine Pluto in Capricorn. We're really making progress with something that feels like it's going to impact our lives in the 3D material sense of the word for the long run. And we're making progress in a way that we did not make in the past, even though we might have worked as hard. On the 28th of September, Mars in Gemini is trining Saturn in Aquarius. Woohoo! I like it. I like it. It feels like this is a great day to finalize, to complete, or even to initiate, if that's the stage that you're at. A very hard task that we've got a lot of stamina for on an intellectual level. And on the 29th of September, Venus moves into Libra until the 23rd of October. Beautiful, 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 beautiful period. Venus is in domicile in Libra. Do keep this in mind when you are choosing dates, when you are kind of like creating electional charts for the launches of business, of some sort of like endeavors, even when you're kind of like, I don't know, scheduling nice stuff for the month ahead, such as dates and so on. And that is the overview of September. My dear Aries, Aries suns and Aries risings, what does September have in store for you? Well, a lot of work and a significant amount of focus on your relationship sector. The month kicks off with an opposition between Mercury in your 7th house of relationships and Jupiter in your 1st house of identity. The same opposition will occur a second time this month in the sky on the 18th of September, when Mercury will already be moving retrograde through your 7th house. It feels like you may kick off a conversation in which you're not exactly on the same page with a partner. It could be a business partner, it could be a life partner, it could be a romantic partner, of course. This conversation where you seem to be in disagreement, maybe something that you revisit around the 18th of September, my lovely Aries. You may change your mind. You may kind of like reconsider your options, or the person who you were having this disagreement might reconsider their stance, their position. In any case, you might be feeling a little bit told off around the 3rd of September by someone who is, like I said, either a business partner or a life partner. You might be told off for being too blunt, too rash, too strong, maybe, in advocating for your beliefs, in kind of like insisting on maybe kind of like pushing, potentially also upon others, what you believe in and what you stand for. And the person who is kind of like at the opposite end, so you're in a face-off, they might say, hold your horses, maybe be a bit more careful as to like how you bring up these topics, because not everyone's going to be on the same page with you in terms of beliefs. Not everything that seems morally right to you will seem morally right to the person, the people that you're interacting with, or the person that you are kind of like maybe even in a relationship with. On the 5th of September, Aries, until the 29th, Venus, which is the ruler of your 7th house of relationships, enters Virgo. Virgo for you in the whole sign house system, for Aries risings in particular. Virgo rules your 6th house of day-to-day work and health. Until the 29th of September, it may feel like you are actively putting effort into making a relationship better, into getting along better with someone who you're not necessarily on the same page with. In general, when Venus transits Virgo in the 6th house, there may be a sense of enjoyment of daily tasks. So work-related projects, health routines, even working out, they might all feel a lot more pleasant to engage in. And collaboration with coworkers is likely to function much better also. On the 10th of September, Aries, 3 days before, 3 days after, you have a full moon in Pisces, activating your 12th house, 6th house axis in a harmonious aspect to Uranus and Taurus in your 2nd house of income. This can be a time when you wrap up a work-related project. It can also be a time when you kind of like recognize that you need to take some time off, that it's finally time to go on holiday, to go on vacation. We say on holiday here in the UK. You might recognize that you do need some rest. You can't just kind of like keep at it. It does not work like that. I would recommend having to think about what you were working on around the 2nd of March, because that's when you experienced a new moon in your 12th house. You might also have a bit of an aha moment around the 10th of September, Aries, when it comes to maybe a limiting belief or a blind spot that was preventing you from doing a good job, not just at work, but also when it came to your health. The spotlight seems to be on your mental health around the 10th of September, and you may also recognize how your mental health may have been impacting, maybe negatively, both your physical health as well as your relationships with co-workers. Mercury will go retrograde on the 10th of September. It will start off its retrograde period in the 7th house of relationships. So you may kind of like be rethinking your stance, your position as to where a relationship is headed for the long run. You might actually revisit some old topics of interest together with a partner until the 2nd of October. Mercury retrograde re-enters your 6th house of day-to-day work and health on the 23rd of September, and it's going to stay there until the 2nd of October, until the end of the retrograde. You may feel from the 23rd, especially until the 2nd of October, you might feel like you have to maybe get back in touch with people who you've worked with in the past. You might need to revisit old work-related projects. You might also need to rethink some of the projects that you said yes to, and some of the habits that you've been engaging in from a health standpoint. For instance, some people might revisit a certain type of medication throughout this period. 11th of September, the Sun in Virgo in your 6th house of work will trine Uranus and Taurus in the 2nd house of income. This is a time when it feels like you are being recognized and appreciated for the job that you've been doing. You might be getting paid. You might be receiving, finally, the money that you were waiting for. You might also feel proud of the fact that you have accomplished something that felt very hard to accomplish in the area of your health. On the 16th of September, there's an opposition between the Sun in Virgo in your 6th house and Neptune and Pisces in the 12th house. There is a possibility that you might spread yourself too thin on this day, and you might feel drained and exhausted, and also maybe a little bit disillusioned with where your health is at, or maybe where a work project is at. Don't despair. Mercury is going to come back into your 6th house in retrograde and give you the possibility to maybe have another brainstorm, sit down with people that you're working with, and rethink the whole thing. Let's see. 19th of September, the Sun in Virgo in your 6th house is trining Pluto and Capricorn in the 10th house. It feels like you've maybe found a solution in a work environment to something that just felt like this big mystery. That's the first thing. The second thing is you may feel like you've got the backing of a powerful maybe boss or manager to help you move forward with what you're trying to accomplish at work. I told you there's a lot of work to do this month, Aries. Like, don't say I didn't tell you about it. You're gonna be busy. You're gonna have a lot on your plate. It's okay. It's okay. You're gonna make it. On the 23rd of September, the Sun moves into Libra and your 7th house of relationships. The Sun for you rules your 5th house of enjoyment, so it may feel for the next month or so that you can maybe prioritize doing things that are fun together with a partner, or maybe kind of like prioritize dating, because the 5th house is also connected with dating if you are single, especially. I mean, who says you can't date when you're already in a relationship? Date night is a thing, so you can definitely prioritize that with your existing partner. 24th of September, not everything is what it seems when it comes to love and romance, and there may be a feeling of not exactly knowing as to whether the efforts that you're putting into a relationship, there may be a feeling of not knowing whether they are actually making a difference or not making a difference at all. Again, don't despair, take it easy. But recognize that you might have been lying a little bit to yourself. Just putting it out there. 25th of September, 3 days before, 3 days after, we've got a new moon in your 7th house of relationships. It's an interesting one because it feels like you're starting off a new chapter when it comes to your partnership sector. You could be kicking off a new relationship, or you could be taking an existing relationship to the next level. It may feel like you're kind of like entering this new chapter, but it doesn't feel fully new because Venus, the dispositor of this new moon, is going to conjunct Mercury in retrograde in the 6th house. It's almost as if you are getting a do-over. Is that how they call it? So you're trying to give another shot. You're starting fresh again with someone from the past relationship-wise. Or maybe you're trying to like breathe a new lease of life into an old relationship through effort, through kind of like focused effort, and through discipline, and through analyzing what did not work in the past. You might also kick off a new collaboration with someone that you've worked with in the past, which is obviously maybe something to look forward to, because otherwise you would not be saying yes to it. I'm liking the 26th and the 27th of September for work-related reasons. You're going to have Venus and then Mercury trining Pluto and Capricorn in the 10th house. It may feel like something that is very impactful for you career-wise is finally moving in the direction that you wanted it to move into. It doesn't feel like a new initiative. On the contrary, it feels like something from the past that maybe did not work up until this point is now benefiting from the support of others, of bosses, of colleagues, of co-workers, and so on. I like the 28th of September also because Mars in your 3rd house is trining Saturn and Aquarius in the 11th house. If you're looking to buy or to sell something, this is probably the day. If you're looking to buy a car, great day to buy a car. If you're looking to seal a deal, to persuade someone or to persuade a group of people, to kind of like hold a speech and bring people on your side, you're probably going to feel like you did it. And it's definitely something that required a lot of effort on your side, and you have every reason to congratulate yourself for it. And 29th of September until the 23rd of October, Venus moves into your 7th house of relationships. It starts to kind of like smooth out the relationship sector because up until this point, this month, it may have just felt like a lot of work. Let's say definitely one of the most romantic times of the year when Venus is transiting your 7th house. Make the most of it, regardless of whether you're in a relationship or not. If you're not in a relationship and you are open to being in a relationship, then go out there, say yes to people, connect with people, and see where it takes you. Now, if you are a Taurus sun or a Taurus rising, my lovely Taurians, what does September look like for you? Well, well, well. It's a mixed bag of work plus enjoyment. Work and fun. Fun and work. Having fun at work. Working whilst having fun. Something along those lines. Definitely one of the most memorable astrological events of the month is Mercury going retrograde. So Mercury is going to go retrograde on the 10th of September. It's starting its retrograde period in your 6th house of day-to-day work. Until the 23rd of September, it may feel like you have to revisit old work projects. Maybe it feels like you have to get back in touch with people who you've worked with in the past. There could be some delays and a few things kind of like slowing down in terms of you getting paid, maybe. So there could be financial delays. There could be some miscommunication around invoices and stuff like that, especially from the 10th until the 23rd of September. I'll put it out there. You might also need to rethink some existing projects that you have been working on for some time. It may feel like you need to maybe have another brainstorm or go back to the drawing board, or kind of like reassess whether the plan that you have made is the best plan to get things done. You might also feel a little bit confused or conflicted as to whether a specific health regimen that you've been on, as to whether it's good for you or not. Again, especially from the 10th until the 23rd. From the 23rd of September until the 2nd of October, Mercury re-enters your 5th house of enjoyment, of fun, of romantic love, etc. My lovely Taurians, I'll put it out there. I'll put it out there. From the 23rd of September until the 2nd of October, this is prime time for exes to come back knocking at the door of your life. You might even feel inspired to call them. You might feel inspired to revisit the relationship where you left it off. You might hear back from people who you went out with on a few dates, and now they're like, hello, what's up? How's life? You know better than anyone else whether they are worth giving a chance or not. This period from the 23rd of September until the 2nd of October is actually a really good period if you want to revisit creative projects that require you being very kind of like meticulous and paying a lot of attention to details. You might be polishing old creative projects. You might be making a few tweaks. You might be rethinking a creative endeavor. You might also feel inspired to return to some of the maybe passions and hobbies of the past or of your childhood. Speaking of childhood, you may feel inspired to revisit, let's say, places that you feel somehow connected with, or people that you feel connected with because of your childhood experiences. So definitely the Mercury retrograde is probably one of the most important events of September. As usual, watch out for miscommunication, especially at work from the 10th of September until the 23rd of October. On the 3rd of September, already it does feel like you are having a bit of a face-off at work with someone whose beliefs are not aligned with your beliefs. You may revisit the same topic of conversation around the 18th of September when Mercury will oppose Jupiter one more time. You may also feel like you need to rethink some of your daily habits if you really want to make a difference for the better, obviously, when it comes to your mental health. So this could be something that is kind of like front and center both on the 3rd of September and on the 18th of September. Also, any sort of like traveling for work, both on the 3rd and on the 18th. I'll put it out there. Things may not exactly play out in the way that you thought they would play out. There could be maybe like a crisis, like a sense of like something unforeseen happening on the road. There could be some sort of like crisis in the family, maybe asking you to like take care of stuff at home. Whatever it is, there seems to be some sort of interference with traveling for work on these 2 days. 5th of September, my lovely Taurus, until the 29th of September, Venus transits Virgo in your 5th house of enjoyment. I told you, this is actually a great time to have fun, and especially to have fun with people from the past. Go to places that you visited in the past, go to a spa that you've been to in the past, maybe treat yourself and take care of yourself, and maybe go for, I don't know, like beauty procedures and treatments and stuff like that, that you know did the job, that worked well for you in the past. You might also feel inspired to kind of like pick up some sort of creative project that involves you being very crafty. You seem to be very inspired. Like there's definitely good stuff here. You seem to feel very inspired creatively from the 5th of September until the 29th of September. And you also seem to be enjoying dates, even though romantically you could be feeling a little bit more critical than you normally would. 10th of September, 3 days before, 3 days after, there is a full moon activating your 11th house in a harmonious aspect to Uranus and Taurus in the 1st house of identity. My dear Taurians, you're probably going to have a great time getting together with friends, being out into the world, connecting with a wider group of people, like-minded individuals. It's a great time for networking. It's a great time to be out there on stage. It can be a time when you feel like one of your plans and one of your projects has come to fruition, especially something that maybe you kicked off or that you were focusing on around the 2nd of March, a few days before, a few days after, when you had a new moon in this part of your chart. You could also hear some really positive news from a friend around this time. 11th of September, the sun in your 5th house is trining Uranus and Taurus in the 1st house. You may have what feels like a brilliant, out of nowhere idea to maybe kind of like change things, shake things up around the house. You might be like, oh, I'm going to buy that lamp, or I'm going to move this furniture around, or I'm going to paint that wall. And you could be feeling like, yeah, I want to like do it straight away. You might actually do a great job in that sense, my lovely Taurians. 16th of September, let's see. Careful here. There's almost like a feeling of disappointment connected with, well, I want to say connected with a friend. Maybe you feel a little bit let down by them. Maybe you feel like they're not exactly who they said they were, or maybe you just feel lied to. Sometimes that happens. And even when that happens, remember that what people do is not necessarily a reflection of who you are. Don't take it personally. Many times it's a reflection of who they are and what they are going through in their own lives. 19th of September, the sun in your 5th house is trining Pluto in Capricorn in the 9th house. If you're planning to travel somewhere to a place where you've been to in the past, great idea. Great idea. Go for it. It's also a great day to kind of like do something cultural, like go to the museum or attend an educational event, something of that type. You may be feeling very inspired. 20th of September, super romantic day. You seem to be feeling yourself. You're very kind of like proud of the work that you've done on yourself, of the tweaks and the, like, I don't know, like maybe aesthetic improvements that you've done on yourself. You may feel like you look really good in this dress or in this suit. You have magnetism. You have loads of magnetism, Taurus, and it shows on this day. 23rd of September, the sun moves into Libra in your 6th house of day-to-day work. Definitely a big focus will be on work for the next month. The sun actually rules your 4th house of home, so it may feel like you're doing a lot of work at home or for the family, I would say. 25th of September, 3 days before, 3 days after, there's a new moon in your 6th house of day-to-day work. Venus, the ruler of this new moon, is conjunct Mercury in your 5th house. So you may feel inspired to start work on a creative project that you postponed a while back. Or you may finally feel like you've got the tools and the people that you needed to rely on in the past in order to get this creative project done. It's like, okay, it's finally happening. Something that was delayed, something that was postponed. Let's say. You may also start a new diet or a new health regimen, or institute a habit in your day-to-day life that you recognize now. It really makes a difference. You might have tried it in the past. Maybe it didn't stick. Now it seems to finally stick, which is great. So go for it. You could also be starting a new job around this time. Some Taurians will start a new job around this time, but it doesn't feel fully new. It just feels like something that maybe was postponed or that you were supposed to start a while back. I'm liking the 26th, the 27th, and the 28th of September. I'll just put it out there. I'm liking the 26th and the 27th because you seem to be having some really fun times. You could be traveling. If you're traveling, it seems to go really well, especially if you're traveling for work. You could also feel like things are finally clicking into place in terms of how you can apply a certain life philosophy into your day-to-day. And it's like, oh, this works for me. This actually works. And I can see how I can utilize it on a day-to-day basis. I like the 28th because you seem to wrap up something or feel like you've made significant intellectual progress on a very hard task at work. You also seem to feel like your authority is being recognized at work on this day. And from the 29th of September until the 23rd of October, Venus moves through Libra in your 6th house of day-to-day work. Even if you're doing work that maybe you did in the past, even if you're revisiting old work projects, it does feel like you've got the backing, the support of everyone that you need. Ask for help, talk to people. They're willing to help you. They're willing to collaborate with you. Any sort of like changes that you want to make, alterations that you want to make to your diet, to your daily habits, to what's happening health-wise, they seem to be clicking. And of course, Venus transiting the 6th house is generally very good. It's kind of like it's considered to be a healing and a supportive transit if you've been suffering of anything health-wise. It may feel like, okay, things are settling, we're making progress, we're moving into the right direction. My dear Geminis, Gemini suns, and Gemini risings, what does September have in store for you? Well, it's got some fun in store for you, but also some outstanding issues to resolve at home or within your private life or something connected with your family. And we are going to talk about that a little bit more in depth. Probably one of the most significant astrological events of September is Mercury going retrograde. So Mercury is going to go retrograde on the 10th of September until the 2nd of October. Mercury is your chart ruler if you are a Gemini rising. Therefore, throughout this period, you might feel a little bit misunderstood. It may feel like people aren't exactly kind of like getting the message that you're trying to send across. You might also feel like you need to revisit some of your thinking patterns. Also, maybe certain facts that you held as facts in your mind. You may be made aware of the fact that they're not actually exactly what you thought they were, or maybe there's something that needs to be revisited there. Mercury is going to go retrograde on the 10th of September in your 5th house in Libra until the 23rd of September. And from the 23rd of September until the 2nd of October, it's going to re-enter Virgo in your 4th house of home. So the retrograde period from the 10th until the 23rd will probably put the spotlight onto existing romantic liaisons, affairs, romantic partners. You may need to really kind of like slow down a little bit when it comes to making plans for the future, or when it comes to moving forward with going through the motions with where a romantic relationship is at. You might actually hear back from exes, especially between the 10th of September until the 23rd of October, the 23rd of September, actually. There could be people from the past coming back into your life and saying, let's go for a date, or I miss you, or I've been thinking of you. You could also feel inspired to reconnect with some people from your past and go out and have fun and have a good time, which is definitely a good thing to do during Mercury retrograde in your 5th house. You may need to slow down when it comes to a creative project that you've been putting a lot of work into. You may also feel inspired between the 10th until the 23rd to try out, once again, a hobby or a passion or something that you were really invested in that brought you a lot of joy, and for whatever reason you kind of like cast it to the side. Then from the 23rd of September until the 2nd of October, you might need to fix some things around the house. Of course, Mercury retrograde moving backwards, apparently, in your 4th house could pinpoint certain gadgets or devices that need to be renewed, that need to be taken for, I don't know, like an update or an upgrade. The internet might be a little bit patchy, especially Gemini risings. For you folks, between the 23rd of September until the 2nd of October, you might need to buy a new internet router. So there could be some challenges with devices, especially around the house. There could also be a need to revisit old topics of interest together with family members, because maybe you thought you were on the same page, but actually you are not on the same page, or they're saying, nah, we've thought about it and we want to do it differently. And it's like, oh man, we're back to the drawing board. On the 3rd of September, and also on the 18th of September, there's an opposition between Mercury and Libra and Jupiter and Aries in the 11th house. It may feel like you need to choose your words very carefully when it comes to talking with some friends, because their beliefs and their worldviews, their general life philosophy is maybe a bit at odds with what you believe in. You might also kind of like diplomatically exit some conversations with friends who are maybe very invested in a specific, I don't know, political worldview. You might be like, nah, I'm not going there. There could be some face-offs, verbal face-offs with friends around moral issues on these 2 dates, and there could be the same issue that gets revisited. It gets brought up on the 3rd of September, and then on the 18th you're talking about the same thing. On the 5th of September until the 29th, Venus moves through Virgo in your 4th house of home. It does feel like you are maybe inspired to buy nice stuff for the house, to clean up the house. You might actually enjoy doing this. You might enjoy treating your family to some nice maybe gifts. You may enjoy having fun, let's say dinner parties with family members throughout this period. But all in all, Venus in Virgo is not necessarily about having fun. It's more about doing something productive that needs to be done, but also having a good time whilst doing it. So for instance, if you've been postponing together with your partner or with your children or with whoever lives with you, if you've been postponing cleaning the cupboards, I keep on banging on about these cupboards, man. Like in this video, I think I've already mentioned them like 3 times. I'm looking at my cupboards whilst I'm saying this. So if you've been postponing this type of task, it's fantastic to do it whilst Venus from the 5th of September until the 29th transits your 4th house of home, because it may be like I said, a lot more enjoyable. 10th of September, 3 days before, 3 days after, there's a full moon in your 10th house of career in Pisces, nicely aspected to Uranus and Taurus in your 12th house. You could be announcing your boss that you are handing in your resignation, or you could be making some sort of like public announcement about where you're headed professionally. Something that you've been sitting on, something that you know is going to surprise people, and you're like, yeah, I'm excited. If you're leaving behind an old position, an old role, it feels so freeing and liberating, especially from a mental health perspective. So if that resonates, my lovely Gemini risings in particular, I'm like, go for it. Go for it. Sometimes letting go is the best thing that you can do for your future. Also on the 10th of September, let's not forget that Mercury goes retrograde. 11th of September, it feels like something gets done around the house. The sun in your 4th house is nicely aspected to Uranus and Taurus in the 12th house. There could also be some positive news coming at you from a sibling, if you've got siblings, or from a neighbor, something connected with the house. Maybe they are helping you solve an issue around the house, maybe repair something, or they fix it for you, whilst you are kind of like racking your brains and thinking, oh no, I've got no clue how I'm going to deal with this. 16th of September, there seems to be a little bit of confusion in terms of how you are going to make maybe this sort of like dream come true at work or in your professional life whilst you are so busy, or whilst your attention is definitely being called on your private life, and it requires you to be very diligent, very consistent, and so on. There could also be a sense of maybe disappointment or disillusionment when it comes to a parent on this day. Maybe they are not feeling that great, and you're like, oh, we had this nice dinner planned and you can't attend. It's okay. It happens, as you know. 18th of September, let's see. Like I said, this is a time when Mercury again opposes Jupiter in Aries in your 11th house. Sometimes we all just need to kind of like admit that we're going to have to work with people. We're going to have to collaborate. We're even going to have to be maybe kind of like revolving in the same circles with people that are not aligned with us in terms of worldviews, in terms of beliefs. And yeah, we just got to choose carefully what we say. Let's put it this way. 20th of September, this can actually be a very romantic day. At home, in private, maybe it feels like you're really taking care of a partner, or a partner is really taking care of you. It definitely feels like a romantic day. In what sense? The love language here is service. So you doing something nice for your partner that they needed, that is kind of like helpful for them, or your partner doing something nice for you. It's just kind of like this beautiful like energy of, yes, I'm making myself useful to you, and that is my way to show you that I love you. On the 23rd of September, the sun moves into Libra in your 5th house. Again, your focus is going to be on enjoyment and children and creative endeavors for the next month or so. The sun rules your 3rd house, so you could be talking a lot about your kids or about your romantic life throughout this period, so for the next month. You could be talking a lot about together with someone else, working maybe in a team. You could be talking a lot about an intellectual topic that you're very passionate about, my dear Geminis. Careful, not everything is what it seems in love. On the 24th of September, there may be a sense of a little bit of disappointment, a feeling of loss connected with a romantic partner. A romantic partner could actually be getting some hurtful news, maybe connected with a parent. Possibly, if you don't have a romantic partner, then it could be a family member that's getting some disappointing news related to their career around this date. 25th of September, 3 days before, 3 days after, there's a new moon in Libra in your 5th house. Venus is conjunct Mercury and Virgo in your 4th house of home at the time. It almost feels like you're starting work on a creative project that is connected with a home, that is connected with a family, but that maybe was postponed. You might also start, once again, maybe, especially if you're single, dating someone that you were interested in a while back. It may also feel, especially if you've got kids, Geminis, like there's a new chapter kicking off in their life, but something that was supposed to kick off some time ago, but now it's finally working. I am very much liking the 26th and the 27th of September because it feels like a crisis is being solved at home through collaboration, cooperation, and having some very open conversations about difficult topics. And 29th of September until the 23rd of October, Venus transits Libra in your 5th house of enjoyment, fun, children, entertainment. It's a great time to go out on dates. It doesn't matter whether you're single or married or in a relationship, you can still go out on dates with your partner. It is a time of creative inspiration. It is a time of enjoying some really nice experiences together with someone who really gets you, I would say. Great time for love. By the way, 29th of September until the 23rd of October. Probably one of the most romantic times of the year for you, my lovely Geminis. Now, if you're a Cancer Sun or a Cancer Rising, like yours truly here, September, my lovely Cancerians, is going to be an interesting one. Dun, 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 dun. What do I mean by that? Well, it does feel like there's a lot going on for you at home. When it comes to your family, your residence, maybe getting together with family members, traveling to see family members, and so on, having a lot to do in the house. You also seem to have a lot of short distance traveling to do, a lot of talking to people, a lot of writing, a lot of phone calls, maybe getting back in touch with people and kind of like solving a lot of day-to-day mundane stuff. Your mind is on fire. You're very productive. But let me not get ahead of myself. One of the most important astrological events of the month is Mercury retrograde. Mercury goes retrograde on the 10th of September until the 2nd of October. The retrograde starts in your 4th house of home from the 10th of September until the 23rd. It may feel like you need to revisit some issues at home, maybe stuff that you thought was solved. You may need to buy or kind of like renew some old gadgets, some old devices, or fix them. You might need to maybe kind of like renew your internet subscription. There could be some old topics of conversation that come back up with family members between the 10th of September until the 23rd. You may feel potentially a little bit confused or misunderstood, or maybe feel like your message isn't landing exactly as it's supposed to land with family members. That's why it's so important to clarify. Some issues from the past might actually get solved, connected with property and residence, from the 10th of September until the 23rd of October. So if you've been postponing them, or if you're not satisfied with the state of things, Mercury retrograde is a great time to redo stuff. From the 23rd of September until the 2nd of October, Mercury re-enters your 3rd house. It may feel like you need to maybe retake an exam, or rewrite a paper, or revisit a writing project, or a class, or a course. It's a great time to review stuff. If you are looking to buy a car, I would just say don't. You might need to fix a car from the 23rd of October until the 23rd of September. My apologies. Already, Mercury. 23rd of September until the 2nd of October. You might need to fix your car or to buy kind of like something that is now old and outdated to like change a part of the car, a component. I don't know. I'm not a mechanic. I have no clue how it works. You might need to get your car serviced or something like that. Please, please, please don't buy cars when Mercury is retrograde, especially in your 3rd house. And please, 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 if you can, also avoid buying computers, phones, and so on. So I would steer clear of this for the entire retrograde period, but especially from the 23rd of September until the 2nd of October. On the 3rd of September and on the 18th, it feels like you're having the same conversation twice, or a similar type of conversation twice. It may feel like you got to keep to yourself some of your thoughts so that you do not rub the wrong way either a boss or a parent who is very kind of like adamant about their beliefs, I would say. You might also feel like, even though in public, in the public sphere, you are really kind of like pushy and like very, very firm in your beliefs when it comes to standing up for something, especially when it comes to what you consider to be morally right or wrong. But when it comes to how you choose to live your life at home, in private, there's a bit of an inner kind of like conflict. So you may feel a bit internally conflicted, I will say. There could be some disagreements with bosses on the 3rd and on the 18th. Sometimes, I'll put it out there, especially on the 18th, because Mercury is retrograde. Sometimes we might just assume things. We might just make assumptions that are not accurate, that are not correct. So before we get offended or before we take things personally, it might be helpful and useful to like use our diplomatic skills and say, okay, well, let's figure this out. From the 5th until the 29th of September, Venus transits through your 3rd house. This is a great time to write things, to present things in writing to others, to send emails through, to get people to help you with writing projects or with any sort of like endeavors of an intellectual nature. This is also a great time to work together with neighbors or siblings, I will say. You might actually enjoy maybe learning something new throughout this period and kind of like improving a practical skill. Then on the 10th of September, 3 days before, 3 days after, you've got a full moon in your 9th house of higher education, academia, long distance travel, in a harmonious aspect to Uranus and Taurus and the 11th. It feels like a project is being completed educationally for you with the help of a group of people. Maybe it doesn't exactly get completed in the way that you thought it would, but it's done. Take the win. You could be wrapping up your studies somehow, or you could be getting some good news connected with your studies, with your education, with academia, and so on. You might also be making some sort of like announcement to the outside world about your plans. And if you're waiting for some sort of response connected with your visa, residency, foreign kind of like travels, you're probably going to feel like divine intervention helped you in a situation that really felt like it's out of your hands, like it was out of your hands. On the 16th of September, if you're traveling, if you're on the road, I would not be too insistent on getting there in time, because you're probably going to get delayed, or you might even need to postpone your trip. There could be disruption on the road. There could be like a storm, something of that nature, like flooding and stuff like that. On the 18th of September, like I said, you might pick up where you left off, an old conversation with a boss or a parent, where you were a little bit at odds with each other. I'm liking the 19th of September because it feels like you are finally reaching an agreement with a business partner. It's like you're sealing a deal. You could be making an important sale around this time, or just feeling like you're on the same page, almost like contractually with a partner. 20th of September, it's a great time to get together with a group of people to do something fun, but also productive that serves others. So it could be a great time to, I don't know, do community service together or have a brainstorm together. On the 23rd of September, the sun moves into Libra in your 4th house for the next month. The sun is the ruler of your 2nd house of income. It feels like you're going to be spending your money for the next month on home-related matters or for your family in some shape or form. 25th of September, 3 days before, 3 days after, there's a new moon in your 4th house of home, my dear Cancerians. But the ruler of the new moon is conjunct Mercury in your 3rd house. Mercury is retrograde. It feels like there's a new chapter that is kicking off at home. You could be moving into a new house. You could be signing some papers connected with your home, but it feels like it's something that was delayed. So it was supposed to happen some time ago. It is finally happening. You're like, amen and alleluia. You could also be hearing some good news, and there's this feeling of kind of like moving in the right direction, even though it was done at a later date than you were hoping for. Some good news connected with parents, connected with siblings, and connected with the state of your home and residence sector. 26th, 27th of September, I'm liking both of these days because it just feels like conversations, communications with partners, business partners, romantic partners, they're just like so helpful, so useful. You're clarifying things. You're talking maybe about important topics that made an impact on your life in the past. You're bringing stuff to the surface, and it just feels like everyone's kind of like carrying their weight. Everyone's willing to improve. Everyone's willing to be kind of like analytical and down to earth and approach things differently so that the entire kind of like relationship functions a lot better for the future. I'm loving this from a Mercury retrograde perspective because it just feels like a relationship is becoming better by kind of like both partners being willing to say the hard stuff and also do the hard work. I'm also liking the 28th of September. Some unexpected win, maybe for a partner, for a business partner, or for your life partner. Some unexpected win financially. Also a win connected with something that was blocked or felt super delayed when it came to mortgages, inheritances, loans, and so on. And from the 29th of September until the 23rd of October, Cancerians, Venus moves through Libra in your 4th house of home. Such a beautiful time to decorate, to buy nice furniture, to paint the house, and also to kind of like be a host and invite family over and get together with family members and just kind of like enjoy good times at home, my lovely Cancerians. It feels like you're really going to enjoy time spent both at home and with family members throughout this period. I'm excited. I'm obviously also excited for me. My dear Leos, Leo suns and Leo risings, what does September have in store for you? Well, there's going to be a lot of focus for you this month on money, finances, but also on short distance travel, writing, connecting with people, networking, maybe also stuff to do within the local community, I would say, Leos. So one of the most important astrological transits of this month is Mercury going retrograde. Leos. It's going to go retrograde on the 10th of September until the 2nd of October. It will spend time in your 3rd house of communication, but also in your 2nd house of income. From the 10th of September until the 23rd, it may feel like you need to slow down or revisit some of the writing projects that you've been involved in. It may feel like you need to rethink some of the strategies around, I want to say, your presentations in a work environment. You might also need to retake some exam or redo a paper or edit it. You might need to review what you have learned in the past. There could also be some challenges with your car and with maybe gadgets around the house. You might also need to maybe help a sibling, especially if you've got siblings, help them solve something that you thought was done and dusted and wrapped up. all sorts of delays on the road, all sorts of potentially misunderstandings when it comes to sending emails, when it comes to maybe your messages landing in the right inbox or not. Make sure to check your junk and spam folders, and just kind of like double, triple check if possible. I would steer clear from buying cars. I would steer clear from maybe buying phones or gadgets, especially between the 10th until the 23rd of September. There could be some delays with money between the 23rd of September until the 2nd of October, or you might need to make some payments that you thought were, again, done and dusted. I would recommend maybe taking a good look at your bank account and maybe revisiting some of your expenses, especially between the 23rd until the 2nd of October, because there could be something fishy there that needs to be fixed. For instance, let's say you were under the impression that, I don't know, you canceled your subscription to some sort of service and you realize, no, actually, they've still been charging you every month. So you might need to give them a phone call and say, listen, I've canceled this. Give me back my money. Give me a refund. So there could be some issues around that. I would also pay close attention to maybe any sort of expense that comes out of your account, because it could be the wrong, I don't know, the wrong sum, the wrong amount, the wrong sum of money. So these are some of the things that I would pay close attention to with Mercury retrograde. On the 3rd of September and also on the 18th of September, Mercury in Libra in your 3rd house is going to oppose Jupiter and Aries in the 9th house. There could be some delays or there could be some misunderstandings when it comes to a trip, when it comes to traveling, when it comes to both short distance and long distance travel. I would double, triple check that you've got all the right documents with you. I would double, triple check that you know exactly what you need in order to, I don't know, get into a new country. Maybe your visa has expired or something like that. You may also feel like you've got to compromise on some of your beliefs on these 2 days. And you've got to choose your words carefully and be very diplomatic in your speech if you want to still collaborate, if you want to still cooperate with some colleagues, but also, let's see, if you still want to have some friends stick around, my dear Leos. On the 5th of September until the 29th of September, Venus moves through Virgo in your 2nd house of income. Now, this is generally a good time to attract money in your life, to attract more money, to attract maybe additional projects, additional sources of income. This can also be a time when you feel like it's easier for you to work on stuff that improves your confidence and your self-worth and your self-esteem. You may feel inspired to maybe spend some money on some classes or to spend some money on some courses that will help you be a better public speaker, or that will help you be a better negotiator. When Venus transits the 2nd house, we are generally inspired to spend money on nice things, on beautiful things. We're inspired to treat ourselves. You may also feel inspired to ask for a raise, my dear Leos. And I dare say, you might actually get it with Venus transiting your 2nd house. If you are very kind of like meticulous in presenting the right numbers, the right data, the facts, in a bullet point list format maybe, to your boss. Now, on the 10th of September, 3 days before, 3 days after, we've got a full moon in your 8th house. It's activating your axis of money and finances. So 2nd house, 8th house axis, really nicely aspected to Uranus and Taurus in the 10th house of career. Leos, you could be getting a bonus from work around this time. You could finally be getting paid, or if you're receiving a significant amount of money from work, you could use that in order to clear some debt. And it's almost like you're feeling a lot lighter. You could also be receiving good news, maybe unexpectedly so, connected with an investment, a mortgage, a loan, or some debt being cleared. 11th of September, Again, some good news coming up from work. You seem to be feeling appreciated at work. You could be receiving the green light from a boss to kind of like move forward with a project that you're very invested in. If you're presenting something in public at work, it seems to land very well, and it seems to maybe gain you some extra points with those in charge. It is definitely contributing to increasing the amount of recognition that you are receiving at work. Let's see what else is going on. Okay, so 16th of September, careful how you spend your money. Really check all your receipts. Even if you go to the restaurant and you pay for a bill, I would kind of like look at it very carefully, very closely, because it may feel like you are being double-crossed. Maybe not intentionally, but there could be a sense of, man, like why are there like 5 waters on my bill? Something random like that. You could be feeling still quite far off from some of the long-term targets that you've got financially, and maybe a little bit down and disappointed around this time, around this date. You could also feel like you need to pay for the expenses of an important person in your life, and you did not think that you were maybe expected to do so, but you're gonna do it anyway. And part of you is like, oh no, I'm spending this money for them, but I wanted to spend it for me, and it's kind of like bringing you a little bit down in the dumps, let's say. 19th of September, some good news again, coming from work. Maybe something that was kind of like asking for a lot of, let's say, concentration at work. It's moving in the right direction. You feel like you're making progress. Also, potentially some good news connected with your health around the 19th of September. 20th of September, again, I'm really liking this for you Leos from a career perspective. It's almost like you're being very persuasive with someone in power on this day. On the 23rd of September, the sun moves into Libra in your 3rd house. So you may feel very invested on a personal level in educational matters, in maybe learning things that can help you develop yourself, that can help you tap into your potential more. So from the 23rd of September for the next month with the sun in Libra. 24th of September, careful not to spend more money than you actually have. So careful not to go into not depth. Careful not to go into debt out of vanity on this day, or just to prove that you've got means. 25th of September, 3 days before, 3 days after, you've got a new one in your 3rd house of communication in Libra. Venus is conjunct Mercury in retrograde in your 2nd house. It feels like you're finally starting a new chapter, maybe in terms of learning in your life, that you've been meaning to kick off for a while, but now maybe you have the finances, now you have the financial resources to actually do this for you. You could also be maybe finally fixing your car, or feeling like you've entered a new chapter in your life from a transportation perspective, but it's something that you were supposed, once again, you were supposed to do a while back. So it feels like this is a new beginning, maybe in terms of education, but also in terms of transportation. But it's not entirely new. It's just that now you've got the means to kick this off. I like the 26th and the 27th of September for your health, Leos. You could be spending money very wisely for your health. You could be getting kind of like the job done health-wise and making some significant, some impactful changes that make you feel a lot better with yourself. I like the 28th of September because Mars in your 11th house is trining Saturn in Aquarius, and the 7th, it feels like you have finally persuaded a partner to get on board with one of your long-term plans, and it feels like you found the right words, and your words are kind of like incisive, and it's almost like it feels like a win because it's taken you some time to get a partner, a business or a life partner on board, but alas, with the right arguments, they're like, okay, man, you win, or okay, like person, significant other, you win. And 29th of September until the 23rd of October, Venus moves through Libra in your third house. Relationships with neighbors, siblings, colleagues are likely to go so well, literally. You may also feel like it's very easy for you to learn throughout this period. It's very easy for you to kind of like pick up new skills. It's very easy for you to find the right words at the right time. You're being persuasive. People are kind of like finding you charming in your speech. It is also a really good time to maybe schedule social events, I would say, my dear Leos, between the 29th of September until the 23rd of October, or to attend social events, especially with people from your work, because Venus also rules your 10th house of career. Now, if you are a Virgo sun or a Virgo rising, my lovely Virgos, this month, September actually, is going to focus on a few major themes. On your money, first of all, and on you and on where you're headed in life, on your life direction, self-growth, self-development, and so on. Mercury is going to be retrograde for a big chunk of September. The retrograde starts on the 10th of September and it ends on the 2nd of October. It starts in your second house of income from the 10th until the 23rd. So there could be some delays with finances between the 10th until the 23rd, or you may need to solve some outstanding issues connected with your financial situation. You may need to kind of like revisit your expenses, maybe look at whether some expenses need to be eliminated out of your life because they are no longer something that you need. It could be a really good time to kind of like go with a fine-tooth comb through whatever's coming out of your account, and also check as to whether you've been charged wrong or wrongly for something. Mercury for you, my dear Virgos, is also the ruler of your 10th house of career. So you may want to revisit your budget, especially from the 10th of September until the 23rd. You may want to revisit your budget because there have been some changes happening in your professional life, or as a result of the changes in your professional life. There could also be some people from the past that you've worked with professionally that come back into your life and say, let's work together again, especially from the 10th of September until the 23rd. And from the 23rd until the 2nd of October, so 23rd of September until the 2nd of October, Mercury re-enters your first house. This could be a time when you feel like maybe it's a little bit harder to make yourself understood. You could also be rethinking your life story, I want to say. So maybe kind of like looking at yourself and saying, okay, this was my life direction so far. This is where I was headed. Am I headed in the right direction? Do I need to slow down a little bit? Do I need to look inwards? Why am I going through these emotions? You may feel inspired to work on yourself again, maybe on some parts of yourself that you have done some work in the past. There could also be a sense of maybe having to revisit some of the habits that you've got that are impacting your physical body, basically to look at them, to take stock of them and say, okay, this is healthy and this is not healthy. This is useful and this is not actually serving me. On the 3rd of September and the 18th, we've got Mercury in your second house of income, opposing Jupiter and Aries in the 8th house. It feels like you need to have some really kind of like thoughtful and diplomatic and gracious conversations with partners in your life partners and business partners. So they could be romantic, they could be professional partners. It feels like you need to have some diplomatic conversations with them around expenses and around maybe your differing views, differing life philosophies when it comes to what money should be spent on and what is worth your resources and what isn't. You could be feeling like you are at odds with a partner in terms of values. So in terms of your value system, both on the 3rd and on the 18th of September, it could be kind of like a similar conversation that you have on both days. Mercury retrograde, so especially from the 10th of September until the 23rd, might also determine you to rethink what is actually important to you. Maybe conversations that have been happening at odds with a significant other have been the prompt for you to say, okay, What am I allocating my money, time, and resources to? And is there something that I need to revisit? Let's say. Venus moves into your first house of identity from the 5th until the 29th of September. This is actually a really nice time for you in terms of feeling confident in yourself, in terms of feeling appreciative of who you are, also in terms of feeling kind of like inspired to bring about more sensual pleasure in your life, to take better care of your body, maybe to get a haircut, maybe to... I want to say, do things for you that make you feel good in your skin, in your body, maybe even things that you have been postponing for some time, especially since a big chunk of Venus transiting your first house will kind of like overlap with Mercury retrograde, Virgos. Venus is also the ruler of your second house of income, so you may feel inspired to spend some more money on yourself from the 5th until the 29th. And also, you may feel inspired to kind of like question and challenge a little bit the stories that you tell yourself about yourself. You might maybe recognize that you've been a little bit too critical towards yourself, and admit that being more gentle and more compassionate and more appreciative of how far you've come, of who you are, of how much effort you put into kind of like being a very decent human being. That is an attitude that is much more conducive to you kind of like achieving whatever it is that you want to achieve in this life, whilst also enjoying life, Virgos. 10th of September, 3 days before, 3 days after, the spotlight is being placed on your relationship sector. If you're single, you can meet someone. If you're already in a relationship, it may feel like there's some exciting stuff happening in the life of a partner, especially stuff connected with legal matters, judicial system, residency, visas, traveling potentially. A partner might surprise you with an impromptu trip, or you might decide to travel to surprise a partner with an impromptu trip around this time. It may also feel like you're on the same page in terms of general life philosophy. You feel very seen by a partner, I want to say, Virgos. You seem to feel appreciated by a partner, and you also seem to have an aha moment as to maybe what has been holding you back in the past from enjoying your relationship sector. You could also be signing an important partnership with someone professionally around this time, my dear Virgos. I'm liking the 11th of September, especially if you're traveling. I know Mercury is retrograde, but if you are traveling, especially for work, it seems to be going very well. Maybe better than you thought it would. You're also having aha moments about yourself, about your mental health, and from a mental health perspective, there's something that kind of like clicks within you, and it's like, my life can be different. I can look at my life from a different angle, and I'm enjoying it more as a result of it. There may be a feeling of being deceived or lied to on the 16th of September, or a feeling of disappointment on the 16th of September with a partner, maybe because you've kind of like put them on a pedestal a little bit. So careful to kind of like remind yourself, Virgos, that everyone's human, everyone is flawed, everyone makes mistakes, and inevitably people will disappoint us every now and then. That doesn't mean that they're bad humans. That just means that they are humans, and that is it. On the 19th of September, this is actually, I want to say a romantic day, but it's also a day to have fun. It doesn't matter whether you are with someone romantically or not. Go out, have fun, do something enjoyable for yourself, because you're kind of like strengthening the relationship, the positive relationship that you have with you, Virgos. I'm also liking the 20th of September, especially if you're going out, if you are attending like a social, a cultural event. There's something about like you having, again, a revelation about love around this time. Very kind of like, what is the meaning of love and what does it mean for me? And a revelation around self-love. Very powerful, very powerful. 23rd of September for the next month, the sun moves through Libra in your second house of income. So the spotlight is being put on your income and money. you may become more consciously aware of some of the blind spots that you had around money and also around your self-worth. 24th of September, I'm not really liking this for romance or love. It may feel like someone just does not appreciate the qualities that you appreciate in yourself. That's okay. Not everyone is going to see the same thing in us that we see in ourselves. That is no reason to be hard on yourself. Remember that everyone sees reality through their own kind of internal lens. There's a new moon happening in your second house of income on the 25th of September. It feels like a new beginning financially. It feels like maybe you're setting new goals financially. Maybe you're starting to get paid more or something of that nature. But it feels like it's something that you've been meaning to do for some time, or something that was delayed, or it was outstanding and you were waiting for it. Maybe you're finally getting paid something that you were supposed to get paid a while back. Maybe you're finally starting to kind of appreciate how important it is to also spend money on you, to do things that make your life more enjoyable, more pleasant, to spend your resources and time on things that strengthen the amount of self-love and that increase the amount of self-love that you have for yourself. I'm liking both the 26th and the 27th of September because they seem to be very fun days. You could be feeling like people are flirting with you, they're kind of looking to have conversations with you that are maybe I don't know, just kind of fun and exciting, and you may feel the center of attention. I'll put it out there. Of course, Mercury is retrograde at the time. You could hear back from exes, or you could just kind of go out and bump into an ex and kind of realize, I don't know, that they're looking at you a certain way, and you feel like, yeah, man, I've been working on myself, or yeah, whoever it is, I'm feeling more confident, and it shows, and other people are noticing it in a positive way. So great days to go out and have fun. I'm liking also the 28th of September because it feels like you are kind of starting something new and exciting career-wise that maybe took a lot of kind of effort to get to this point. It's the hustle, the grind was real, and now it's yes, I see the way forward, and all the intellectual effort was worth it. Also, from the 29th of September until the 23rd of October, you seem to be attracting money what's the saying? Like bees to the honey, like honey to the bees, like moths to the flame. You know that I like to invent words and phrases, and if you know the right way to say this, or whatever this idiom is, please let me know in the comments, because otherwise I'm just going to be making stuff up, you know. So you may feel like you are kind of attracting more maybe abundance in your life between the 29th of September until the 23rd of October. You may also feel more appreciated by others for your talents, for your skills. You may feel more positive and optimistic about your financial sector in general, and you probably have every reason to. You may also feel like you deserve to spend more money on some of the things that you enjoy. Especially, there seems to be something here around traveling and education that you decide to kind of spend more money on because you can afford it, which is great. It's absolutely very, very good. If you need to convince someone to pay you more, from the 29th of September until the 23rd of October is the time to hike up your prices or ask for the raise. And that is Virgo. My dear Libras, Libra suns and Libra risings, what does September have in store for you? Well, you're in the spotlight, of course, because Libra season starts in September, on the 23rd of September. Before that, before the sun enters into Libra, there's a lot of activity happening in Libra and in Virgo, which for Libra risings is your 12th house. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's talk first and foremost about Mercury retrograde. So Mercury is going to go retrograde on the 10th of September, dear Libras, in your first house. Mercury is the ruler of your 12th house, of what's happening behind the scenes and of your mental health. It is also the ruler of your 9th house, of foreign lands, foreign countries, academia, higher education, and so on. From the 10th of September until the 2nd of October, it may feel like you have to work your way through some things that you've already done the work on. When it comes to higher education, maybe when it comes to some exams, maybe when it comes to anything that's got something to do with passports, visas, residency, you could be feeling frustrated maybe because things aren't progressing as fast as you thought they would be progressing with these particular life areas, these particular life sectors. There could be delays. There could also be a need to reevaluate maybe whether the plan that you had made when it comes to your academic route, your academic path, maybe also when it comes to some of the travel plans that you had in mind, especially long distance travel. Are they still valid, or do you need to take care of some private matters first and foremost? If you are traveling, folks, Libras, please, especially Libra risings, make sure that your passport has not expired. Make sure that you have all the necessary documents with you. If you're already kind of like, if you've booked a trip and you're going abroad, please keep an eye out for, I'm just going to put it out there, maybe kind of like misplacing your passport or your travel documents. I don't want to say maybe someone kind of like stealing your purse and you having your papers in it. It is possible. Better to be kind of like on the lookout than to be sorry. So I did want you to have that on your radar, especially from the 10th of September until the 23rd of September. It may feel like it's a little bit harder for you to make yourself understood by others. Maybe it feels like you're having a bit of a harder time kind of like sending across the message that you want to send across. You might also feel inclined to look inwards, to analyze yourself, to analyze your blind spots. Speaking of blind spots, you could actually be doing some reading and some behind the scenes work on your mental health and your blind spots and the shadow, as they say, from the 23rd of September until the 2nd of October, Libras. Now, what other transits are you experiencing in September? Well, on the 3rd of September and on the 18th, so on the 18th, Mercury is going to be retrograde. You have Mercury in your 1st house opposing Jupiter and Aries in the 7th house. So on the 3rd and on the 18th, you might have some sort of like conversation where you're not exactly aligned. It's what I would call a disagreement, potentially a face-off, with maybe a partner or an open adversary, an open enemy, someone that is openly challenging you because they don't believe in the same things that you believe in, and you could even feel a little bit attacked with words due to this person's cultural background and worldviews. For you, Libras, Jupiter rules your 3rd house and your 6th house. It may feel like you're having a bit of a face-off at work even. I'm just gonna put it out there. I'm just gonna put it out there. I think it's important to keep your calm. I think it's important to recognize that maybe this person that is kind of like spewing stuff at you is going through their own crisis and maybe challenge. But also, if they trigger something in you, and if you feel like, yeah, maybe I do need to reevaluate that part of myself, or that kind of like belief that I hold about myself, do that and do it in private. And yeah, just kind of like improve whatever needs to be improved on your end. Now, from the 5th of September until the 29th, Venus, which is your chart ruler, moves through your 12th house of things happening behind the scenes. Venus also rules your 8th house of other people's money, other people's resources, and psychological transformation. You could feel inclined to go away from the 5th until the 29th of September, maybe not for the entire period, but at least for some time, to go away on maybe like a holiday, a vacation, a retreat, where you're actually doing some work on yourself and maybe especially on your mental health. And also you could be doing some work together with others, together maybe with a guide, a consultant, a therapist, when it comes to dealing with your relationship blind spots. In general, when Venus transits the 12th house, people actually enjoy spending more time by themselves, so you may find that your natural tendency is to retreat a little bit and to not necessarily be the social butterfly that you normally are. And if you have some days off scheduled in for your diary throughout this period, they are probably going to be quite enjoyable, especially maybe if you go to a place that you have been to in the past, as the Mercury retrograde kicks off on the 10th of September. Also on the 10th of September, let's see, 3 days before, 3 days after, there's a full moon activating your 6th house, 12th house axis. Something might be coming to a close. Work-wise, you could be wrapping up a work-related project. You could be feeling like, yes, finally I can breathe easily. This has been so stressful. You seem to be also overcoming maybe a health-related crisis or a health-related challenge, or a crisis and a challenge at work with the help of someone else, maybe someone that came in very much in the nick of time. Some Libras might also be handing in their resignation at this time, and if you're doing it, you're probably doing it for your mental health, and you're probably going to be better off going for it, even though you may have a little bit of you might be second guessing yourselves, Libra, as Mercury is going to go retrograde from the 10th of September until the 2nd of October. I would not backtrack on a decision that you've already taken just because you're having second thoughts, especially during Mercury retrograde. On the 16th of September, there could be maybe a feeling of exhaustion, of you being drained, of you feeling maybe despondent health-wise, but also at work, as the sun opposes Neptune at the time in your 6th house. On the 19th of September, the sun in your 12th house is trining Pluto and Capricorn in the 4th house of home. I'm liking this. It feels like you've been doing some work behind the scenes on your home life, on your family life, maybe on improving the relationship with a parent or a family member. It seems to be working, I would say. On the 20th of September, you could hear some good news connected with your partner's finances if you are in a relationship. If you're not in a relationship, you could just kind of like hear good news in the form, you could receive good news in the form of a gift, let's say. On the 23rd of September, the sun moves into your 1st house of identity for the next month, so it may feel like the spotlight is very much on you, and you could also be thinking a lot about the future and maybe connecting with friends a lot more, since the sun also rules your 11th house of friendship and long-term goals. Maybe connecting with friends from the past that you haven't seen for some time. On the 25th of September, there is a new moon in your 1st house. Venus and Mercury are conjunct in Virgo in your 12th house of things that are happening behind the scenes. You could start actively committing to a new process of self-growth, of self-development that keeps in mind, in particular, your mental health. And maybe that deals with what made you feel, up until this point in your life, powerless or alone or isolated, or what really felt like a thorn in your side, my dear Libras. You could also start actively working on introducing a new spiritual routine in your day-to-day life, something that makes you feel much more grounded and centered in your body. You could also eliminate something from your day-to-day habits, something that up until this point was a hidden enemy, let's call it, an actor for self-sabotage, and you finally have the awareness of, okay, this has been working against me. I might as well, now that I understand that it's working against me, I might as well push it to the side. I like the 26th, the 27th, and the 28th of September. Yes, I do. Why? Because on the 26th, Venus is trining Pluto and Capricorn in the 4th house. It may feel like you're mending the relationship with a parent, a family member, or maybe the parent of a partner. That is very, very possible. You could also be doing some renovations and transformations and kind of like cleaning up, significant cleaning up and like purging around the house. That makes you just feel so much lighter. On the 27th, you could be having a very productive conversation, a very fruitful conversation with a family member. If you are traveling to see family members, it may feel very enriching, let's put it this way. And on the 28th of September, it feels like you have much more clarity as to what you need to work on in order to enjoy a more pleasant life, I'd say. There could also be some good news making their way to you about travel-related matters, about academia, higher education, and about your children. If you have children, Libras, you might also feel inspired to commit to something for the long run, something of an intellectual nature that you are really passionate about. So a topic that you're very passionate about. And from the 29th of September until the 23rd of October, Venus moves into your first house. You are your charming, charismatic self. You're more magnetic than you even like normally are. You might be feeling much better in your body, much more at peace with your body. It is a good time when Venus is in the first house to maybe get a haircut or to buy new clothes or just to kind of like take better care of yourself. Self-love is definitely the theme with Venus in the first house. Now, if you are a Scorpio sun or a Scorpio rising, my dear Scorpios, what's going on in September for you? A lot. And a lot that you probably have also dealt with in the past because, hey, let's face it, Mercury retrograde is going on and we're all invited. We are all invited to a good Mercury in retrograde period. Mercury goes retrograde on the 10th of September until the 2nd of October. It moves through your 12th house and your 11th house. Let's put it this way. Mercury is the ruler of your, let's see, of your 11th house of friends and of your 8th house of shared assets, shared resources, crisis, transition, psychological transformation, and so on. Between the 10th until the 23rd of September, it may feel like you are called to do maybe a thorough cleanup in your psyche by talking to someone about some of the topics that you're afraid to bring up. So it may feel like you need to re-examine some of your fears, some of your demons, and rather than doing this alone, in order for this practice to really work, you got to do it together with someone else. Now, of course, I know better than to tell a Scorpio what to do with their life. Remember, folks, that you always have free will. This is purely my recommendation. You might also feel like some of the progress that you've been making to kind of like overcome some of your blind spots and to get in a better place and a better state in terms of mental health. You might feel like some of that progress is no longer that visible and you maybe need to go back and say, okay, maybe I've rushed through something, or maybe I need to like readdress this topic. You could also feel inspired from the 10th of September until the 2nd of October to reach out to a friend that you've had a falling out with. So someone that maybe you're no longer in contact with, someone that you've had some sort of like argument or conflict with. You could hear back from previous, well, from people in your past, from people that you've been friends with and maybe that you've kind of like grown apart from. You might also obviously hear back from exes, right? Right? Why not? Because it's Mercury retrograde in Libra for a big part of this retrograde throughout this entire period. So from the 10th until the 2nd of October, but especially from the 10th until the 23rd of September, okay? And from the 23rd of September until the 2nd of October, you may need to revisit some of your long-term goals and plans. You may need to do some tweaks. You might need to do some editing, as I like to say. You might also need to get back together with a group of people that you've worked with in the past to revisit, again, this kind of like project that is a collaborative thing, okay? On the 3rd of September and on the 18th, Mercury in your 12th house is opposing Jupiter in Aries in the 6th house. So this is happening twice throughout the month. You might have some conversations that are a little bit triggering from a mental health perspective with someone at work. You might be feeling frustrated because someone is trying at work to impose their belief system upon you, and they're being very like adamant about it, and they're like, this is what works, and this is what I believe in, and this is what works for me. You might also have to deal with some kind of like expenses, maybe expenses that you did not see coming, connected with your health, and maybe you feel like, okay, this was dealt with, this came up on the 3rd of September, but there's something more that you need to address on the 18th of September. There could be some misunderstandings with doctors, physicians, like health and wellness practitioners, especially around the 18th of September. You might be feeling a bit annoyed with them just because they're trying to make you believe in the things that they believe in, and they're trying to impose their philosophy upon your life philosophy. I'm going to put it out there. Rather than taking offense, maybe look at it as kind of like them really wanting to be of service somehow to you. You might also feel a little bit despondent, a little bit disappointed with your progress health-wise on the 3rd of September and on the 18th of September. Everything is a process, especially when it comes to changing our habits, Scorpios. So be a bit more gentle with yourself. From the 5th of September until the 29th, Venus moves into Virgo in your 11th house of friends. So this is actually a really good time to get together with friends, to schedule group type of activities, maybe even with people from your past, especially from the 10th of September until the 29th. Mercury will be retrograde at the time. Your social life is probably going to be much more enjoyable, much more active with Venus in the 11th house. But it does feel like you're kind of like getting together with friends and with like-minded individuals, probably because you've got like a very specific goal in mind, Scorpios. On the 10th of September, 3 days before, 3 days after, you've got a full moon activating your 5th house, 11th house axis. I would look back at what was going on for you in the area of romantic love, creative projects, and fun and enjoyment around the beginning, around the first week of March, when you had a new moon in your 5th house. You might be wrapping up a creative project. You might feel like, okay, it's done, but right on the 10th of September, Mercury goes retrograde, so you might need to revisit or do some tweaks or some edits until the 2nd of October. This is probably going to be a very social time. You may feel like you're in the right group of people. You may feel like you are surrounded by the right kind of individuals, like you're in the tribe that works best for you. And it is a time of, I want to say, of enjoyment. If you are going out, if you are attending, I don't know, like an event, a concert, even a conference, okay? Especially if you're single, then you may actually meet someone, you may connect with someone romantically. If you are in a relationship, your partner might have some surprise announcement to make to you in a group type of setup that sweeps you off your feet. It's probably going to be something positive and something that you're excited about in the long run, in the grand scheme of things. On the 16th of September, there may be this feeling of a little bit of disappointment with one of your friends, I would say. Maybe someone that you looked up to also in terms of their career and their professional life. If you are working with a friend on something of a professional nature, then it may feel like you're not on the same page. It's not the most productive day. It might be better to just kind of like take a bit of a step back and maybe go back to brainstorming, maybe go back to the drawing board, and maybe also recognize that they are very meticulous and very fastidious about the way they do things. And it's got nothing to do with them wanting to like hurt you or push back on your creative ideas. On the, let's see, 19th of September, I like this day because it feels like a very productive day of work with colleagues, friends, and a group of people. It could also be a day that is very productive in terms of networking. If you're invited to an event where you can network, I would definitely go for it. And I would maybe even like take the initiative to go to these types of events if you feel inspired to do so. It is also a good day to kind of like do a lot of writing, the 19th of September. The 20th of September, a very romantic day. Venus is trining Uranus in your 7th house of relationships. If you are, again, doing something with a partner out into the world, they may surprise you, they may sweep you off your feet, and it may feel like you're really kind of like seeing yourself in the future with this person. If you're not with someone, you can meet someone through a friend on the 20th of September, or if you again go out to attend a group type of event. On the 23rd of September, the sun moves into Libra in your 12th house. Okay, so the sun is the ruler of your 10th house of career. From the 23rd of September for the next month, it may feel like you need to let go of an old career goal or objective. You might also feel like you don't really have that much clarity as to where you're headed professionally for the next month. It's okay. Sometimes in order for the new path to reveal itself, first we gotta kind of like let some things slide, let some things go. 24th of September, a little bit of like disappointment, maybe romantic disappointment. If you go out on a date, maybe the activity that your romantic partner had in mind for you isn't exactly what you thought it would be. Also careful not to overpromise something to a friend, or if a friend promises something to you, I mean, I would take it with a grain of salt. If you don't want to get disappointed in the long run, don't get your hopes up too high, because they might be overpromising. Not that they want to lie to you, but they might just not be able to deliver. On the 25th of September, 3 days before, 3 days after, there's a new moon in your 12th house. So this feels like a new beginning for you from a mental health perspective. You might start kind of like attending maybe group sessions of some type that really help you from a mental health perspective. You might also start being more active within a community of spiritual people as of the 25th of September moving onwards. 26th, 27th, and 28th are days that I really like. Why? Well, the 26th seems to be an enjoyable time to socialize, to go out into the world, and to talk about some of the topics with a group of people that maybe felt up until this point taboo, or maybe not a lot of people are interested in. The 27th feels like a great day for selling, buying, purchasing, and negotiating, and also maybe for understanding something of a technical nature, something clicks into place. And on the 28th, a crisis, or like a feeling of being stuck at home, or maybe in connection with something of a home-related nature, a crisis seems to be overcome. It does feel like you're working with someone that is kind of like helping you get out of this rut. Maybe something was being slowed down from a financial perspective when it came to your home, your property, and so on. It finally seems to be moving forward. And from the 29th of September until the 23rd of October, Venus moves through Libra in your 12th house. Great time. You've got almost a month to take some time off, to rest, to look after yourself, and maybe also to go on like a break, a spa break, a retreat of some type with a partner, because Venus is also the ruler of your 7th house of relationships, my dear Scorpios. And that is September for you. My dear Sagittarius, Sagittarius suns and Sagittarius risings, what does September have in store for you? Well, a lot of action, especially on the career front and on the front of friendships, goals, long-term plans for the future, groups, collaborations, and so on. Mercury, you might have heard this by now, Mercury is going retrograde on the 10th of September until the 2nd of October. It's going to go retrograde in your 11th house and in your 10th house of career. So there could be some delays that you experience when it comes to moving forward with some of your professional goals and plans. You might also have to revisit some old professional projects. Maybe you need to do some tweaks, you need to do some updates, some upgrades, some editing. Maybe you also need to revisit some of the terms of the contracts that you've signed in a professional environment. You could also collaborate with someone who you've worked with in the past. You could hear back from someone that you've worked with a while back, and they might say, listen, I've got an opportunity for you, or I think you would be perfect for this particular job. Especially from the 10th of September until the 23rd of September, you could also catch up with old friends. From the 23rd of September until the 2nd of October, it feels like your mental focus is very, very much on professional partnerships and collaborations, and having to revisit some of these. If you are saying yes to a new job between the 10th of September until the 2nd of October, I would read with a fine-tooth comb the contract. Anything that you sign professionally throughout this period, I'm just going to say this, you might need to kind of like pay a great deal of attention to details. You might miss something. You might have to like have the contract redrafted. You could also postpone one of your professional decisions, especially between the 10th of September until the 2nd of October. So pretty much throughout the entire Mercury retrograde period. On the 3rd of September and on the 18th, you may have a very spirited conversation. It could be on the same topic with a friend who does not necessarily agree with your worldview and your belief system. You may be a little bit at odds when it comes to how you see the future. Also, if you're working with someone that you're friends with, you might realize that they're not exactly on the same page with you when it comes to general kind of life philosophy. So I would be quite careful not to get activated, triggered, let's say, not to get super reactive with your words throughout this period. And also if someone close to you is kind of like saying things that you're like, man, how can you say that out loud? I would maybe give them a little bit of a benefit of a doubt. They could be going through some stuff, and also maybe this particular topic that you're having this kind of like disagreement on is a sensitive topic for them. So I would maybe investigate a little bit more on that front. On the 5th of September until the 29th, Venus moves through Virgo in your 10th house of career. Venus for you, Sagittarius, is the ruler of your 6th house and of your 11th house of long-term goals, plans, and dreams. Generally, when Venus transits the 10th house of career, it's a great time to work in conjunction with others professionally. It is a great time to ask things from people who are in a position of power, such as bosses, managers, leaders, and so on. You may also feel more appreciated on the public sphere professionally. It is generally a time of you maybe feeling like you're let's say, enjoying a very, very good kind of like status and reputation for the services that you're bringing to society. You might also actively enjoy kind of like improving where you're at professionally from the 5th of September until the 29th. On the 10th of September, 3 days before, 3 days after, you have a full moon activating your 4th house, 10th house axis. Something is coming to a close. Something is coming to a culminating point at home in your home and family life. Maybe something that you've been working a great deal on. It could be that you are wrapping up a move or a renovation or the transformation of your home and family life. You could also find a new house or kind of like complete the purchase or the sale of a house or a property. You could also receive some very good news connected with the health of a parent around this time. On the 16th of September, there seems to be some confusion in terms of where you stand in relationship with a boss or a manager or a leader. You could also be feeling a little bit disappointed in terms of how they treat you or in terms of what they believe in. You could be feeling slighted. You could be feeling a bit disillusioned with this person maybe that you looked up to. On the 20th of September, this is actually a very, very productive day at work. Stuff seems to get done in conjunction, in collaboration with others, and also unexpected solutions from women in particular are probably going to make their way to you professionally. You might also have like a very successful presentation or something where you go out on stage at work in the spotlight and you receive great feedback, maybe surprisingly so, for the work that you have been doing. On the 23rd of September, for the next month, the Sun enters Libra in your 11th house, so it may feel like a lot more is going on in your life when it comes to community and group-related projects. You might even travel for the next month, from the 23rd of September for the next month or so, to get together with friends or to maybe see friends. Maybe to also learn something or join like a class or a course with like-minded individuals. On the 24th of September, this is not the best of days romantically. I mean, there could be a bit of a state of disillusionment in connection with your romantic life. You might also be feeling like whatever's happening at home, in your home and private life, is kind of like preventing you a little bit from enjoying the success that you are definitely obtaining on the professional front. On the 25th of September, 3 days before, 3 days after, there's a new moon in your 11th house of long-term goals, plans, and dreams. Venus, the dispositor of this new moon, is in conjunction to Mercury in your 10th house. Okay, so finally, you're probably kicking off a new chapter that you're excited about when it comes to the future. Professionally, a chapter that you have postponed, a chapter that you have delayed. Also, if you were waiting to hear an answer, if you were waiting to hear a response regarding, I don't know, like a job application or regarding you asking for a promotion, you may be hearing the good news around the 25th of September. You could also be joining a new community, a professional community around this time that is likely to have a positive impact upon your career in the long run. Again, maybe this is something that you wanted to do, but for whatever reason did not get to do in the past. And I like the 26th, 27th, and the 28th of September. You're going to be like, Rux, what's happening with you? You like all of these days. Oh my gosh. Yes, I like them for you, Sagittarius, because 26th and 27th seem to bring with them good news, financial good news. You could be receiving a payment, a bonus. You could be receiving a raise. You could also be signing some sort of like contract where you've kind of like put up your rates and you're like, yes, finally, I should have done this a while back. In general, you seem to be very appreciated professionally for what you do, for your expertise, for your experience, and so on. If you do receive appreciation and recognition, I would even ask myself, if I were in your shoes, Sagittarius, am I charging enough? Should I put up my prices? The answer is probably yes, you should. But hey, I'm not telling you what to do with your life. That is up to you. You have the free will to decide. I'm also liking the 28th of September relationship-wise. I mean, you could be having some really constructive conversations with a partner and kind of like set out like a clear plan of action moving forward for a joint project with a life partner or a business partner. And from the 29th of September until the 23rd of October, Venus is transiting your 11th house. Great time to hang out with friends, get together with like-minded individuals, do community kind of like activities together with others, attend conferences, attend concerts, events, be very socially active because it's probably going to be very enjoyable, Sagittarius. Now, if you are a Capricorn Sun or a Capricorn Rising, my lovely Capricorns, what's happening in September for you? Well, first and foremost, Mercury is going retrograde. I know, you might have heard this. You did not hear about it here first. Mercury is going to be retrograde in your 10th house of career and in your 9th house of foreign lands and foreign countries, and also academia. From the 10th of September until the 2nd of October, you may need to revisit some legal matters. You may need to potentially travel to a place that you've been to in the past for professional reasons, for professional purposes. You might also have to retake an exam, so academically speaking, especially from the 23rd of September until the 2nd of October. You may experience some delays career-wise. See it as an opportunity to kind of like really define very clearly where you want your career path to be headed moving forward. These delays are probably going to kind of like hold you back apparently from making major progress career-wise from the 10th of September until the 2nd of October. Sometimes delays and kind of like taking the time to look inwards are actually a bit of a blessing in disguise, regardless of how annoyed and frustrated you might be at them or with them. I would also reevaluate a business partnership from the 10th of September until the 2nd of October. Maybe it's not exactly what you thought it would be, so I wouldn't be too quick into kind of like just jumping in and saying, yeah, let's work together. It's gonna work. It's gonna be awesome. No, I would maybe take a little bit of time and say, is this really a good fit? Also, remember, from the 10th of September until the 2nd of October, there could be misunderstandings, things that get lost in translation, miscommunications with bosses and with people from abroad, foreign lands, foreign countries, and in a judicial and legal environment. So I would double, triple check emails, documents, and so on. Also, there could be some delays or misunderstandings or miscommunication connected with maybe your degree or your academic situation. So I would kind of like pay, again, closer attention to these things. On the 10th of September, 3 days before, 3 days after, you've got a full moon in Pisces in your 3rd house of communication and learning, very nicely aspected to Uranus and Taurus in the 5th house. It feels like you're wrapping up a learning chapter. It feels like you're very excited about what's next. It's probably you wrapping up a chapter that you really enjoyed kind of like putting time, energy, and effort into. You could also be getting maybe a car around this time, just putting it out there. If you do get a car, of course, Mercury goes retrograde right after the 10th of September, so actually on the day, there could be a few kind of like outstanding issues that need to be fixed. You could be getting your driver's license. Some folks could be getting their driver's license around this time. In general, this is also a time when you may travel, and you're probably going to travel for pleasure, my lovely Capricorns. But again, because Mercury retrograde is knocking at the door, I would kind of like be prepared for delays, both when it comes to long distance and short distance travel. I'm not liking the 16th of September for you being on the road in any shape or form, or for you kind of like traveling. There could be a feeling of disillusionment and disappointment. There could be maybe like a natural disaster, I don't know, like a flood or something like that, that prevents you from reaching your destination in time. So I would be prepared for things to kind of like shift in terms of the schedule that you had. I would also be very, very careful when you drive and when you are in a car in general on this day. Let's see. Another transit to pay attention to is the transit of Venus from the 5th of September until the 29th in your 9th house. Okay, so Venus is actually the ruler, Capricorn, of your 5th house of children and of your 10th house of career. You could be traveling for professional reasons between the 5th until the 29th of September. Overall, it's probably going to be enjoyable because, hey, Venus makes things a lot more pleasant. But keep in mind that Mercury is retrograde from the 10th of September until the 2nd of October. And keep in mind especially the 16th of September as a particularly disruptive date. And especially when it comes to traveling, and also, let's see, the 24th of September. Again, very, very disruptive for traveling, and maybe confusion around traveling. Maybe like people are misplacing their papers and so on. You could also feel like the entire process of you kind of like learning and studying something from the 5th of September until the 29th is actually a lot more enjoyable than it has been so far, even if it requires dedication, control, routine, commitment, fastidiousness, and so on. I'm liking the 20th of September for romantic purposes because Venus is going to trine Uranus in your 5th house of romantic love. So it's a great time to go out on a date. It's also a day of good news connected with academia and your studies and maybe also legal matters. It is a fun day as well. I'm gonna put it out there, and it may feel like you're combining fun with work and productive stuff on this day. I'm not liking the 24th of September, like I said, for traveling, just putting it out there. And if you need to make a presentation of some sort, people could be confused a bit. They might not get exactly what you're trying to send across. You might also feel like you're a little bit scattered in terms of mental energy. 25th of September, 3 days before, 3 days after, you have a new moon in your 10th house of career, but Venus is conjunct Mercury in retrograde at the time. So it feels like you're starting off a new chapter career-wise. Maybe you're finally stepping up. Maybe you're getting that role, that promotion. Maybe your promotion is being announced to the outside world. Maybe you're setting up your own business and company, but it does feel like something that you wanted to do a while back, but did not get to it. It could also be that you're starting this new professional chapter in your life that requires you to kind of like work very closely, even though you maybe tried not to. Maybe it requires you to work very closely with someone who is culturally different or from a different country, different background. Maybe someone that is not based in the same country as you are based. And you might be thinking, oh, that's going to be difficult. But actually, they seem to be the best option in terms of you moving forward in this new direction career-wise. There could also be a new boss coming in around the 25th of September in your life if you're working for someone else. If you don't run your own thing, it is probably someone that you thought would turn into your boss or your line manager. I'm liking the 26th, 27th, and 28th. 26th and 27th seem to be days when you have some aha moments about yourself, about your transformation, about your journey of rebirth, which has been, let's face it, quite a challenging one in the past few years, especially since 2017 when Saturn was moving through Capricorn. You may realize that you can kind of like see yourself from a different perspective. If you're traveling, if you're abroad, or if you're studying, if you're attending cultural events, 26th and 27th are some really kind of like positive and uplifting days. 28th of September, you're getting something done super quick at work and you could be receiving kudos for it. You're probably going to do it by yourself. Or you might just take the lead and say in a team environment, folks, let's just do it my way. I have a plan. It's going to work out really well. And it may feel like it's getting you out of a rut or it's getting the project out of a rut. And from the 29th of September until the 23rd of October, Venus moves through your 10th house of career, my dear Capricorns. A beautiful, beautiful, beautiful period career-wise. A period in which you're being appreciated, in which you're being admired, in which you may feel like your reputation is kind of like shining and stellar. You may even feel inspired to work on your personal brand, to work on your presentation professionally, maybe to kind of like set up a new website, launch a new website. I do recommend waiting at least until the 3rd of October so that Mercury is out of retrograde though. You could also be forming some really lucrative partnerships professionally. You're very charming and very persuasive, so it's a great time to connect, to mingle, and to form those important relationships that will probably serve you long-term career-wise, my dear Capricorns. My dear Aquarius, Aquarius suns and Aquarius risings. What does September have in store for us, actually? Well, Mercury retrograde is coming. You've probably heard of it by now. It kicks off on the 10th of September until the 2nd of October. It is probably one of the most important events, astrological events of the month. Do expect some delays, Aquarians, and do expect some stuff that needs to be reworked or just kind of like revisited, reevaluated, especially when it comes to your studies, when it comes to your academic status, when it comes to matters connected with residency, foreign lands, foreign countries, passports, and so on. And also when it comes to debts, mortgages, loans, and assets or money that you share with a partner. You might actually travel at some point in time when Mercury is retrograde. From the 10th of September until the 2nd of October, you might travel or reconnect with people from your past. You might travel to places that you've been to in the past or reconnect with people from your past. It may actually be quite fun, but of course, I feel compelled to tell you that there can also be delays on this front. So I would maybe get travel insurance, especially when it comes to flights, when it comes to traveling abroad. I would be prepared for things maybe not necessarily to go as smoothly as you thought they would, especially from the 10th of September until the 23rd of September, whilst Mercury is in your 9th house. You might need to also retake an exam, or you may feel compelled to revisit a thesis or some sort of work that you've done on the academic front. 3rd of September and 18th of September, it feels like you're having some conversations that are a little bit feisty, fiery, spirited, some tense conversations, let's say. They could be quite tense with a sibling, with colleagues, with maybe students, fellow students. They could be conversations that really rile you up. Also, when it comes to the topic of money and finances, and when it comes to the topic of long-term goals, plans, and dreams. And it might take you a little bit by surprise to notice that these conversations where there's a spark of conflict, they actually happen with a friend who maybe you thought was kind of like on the same page with you, but they are not. I would be very careful if you're launching something marketing-wise, website-wise. If you're running like a marketing campaign, a social media campaign, it might be perceived as culturally insensitive potentially, and you may have it a little bit backfire because you were not kind of like careful how you've worded certain things. So careful what words you say, because it could be perceived the wrong way, especially by people who are somehow culturally different than you. From the 5th of September until the 29th of September, Venus moves through Virgo in your 8th house. This is generally a good time to receive the green light on loans, mortgages. It's also a good time to receive some sort of like gift from others. You could maybe find yourself in the position to get some returns on existing investments, and it could also feel like a period of time when your partner, if you're in a relationship, is a lot more generous than even in general in their life. I would also ask for the advice of a specialist throughout this period, because they're probably going to be more helpful than you thought they would be when it comes to financial matters, when it comes to academic matters, when it comes to legal matters, and also when it comes to, let's see, your home and family life. Maybe something that has to do with finances, for instance, a mortgage and a property that maybe you are looking to sell, buy, and so on. It's also probably a very enjoyable time. I'm just gonna put it out there because this is important. A very enjoyable time from an intimacy perspective, Aquarius. 10th of September, 3 days before, 3 days after, there's a full moon activating your financial axis. Probably some good news connected with money, but again, afterwards, Mercury goes retrograde, so it may take a little bit of time for the money to reach your bank account, let's say, or there could be some delays with you actually getting paid, or there could be some extra paperwork that you have to go through, or you might have to redo it, you might have to redo the paperwork. But all in all, some good news on the financial front. Again, it does seem like there's some sort of involvement settlement with a home or a property. Maybe you're selling a property, maybe you're buying a property, maybe you're receiving a mortgage, and so on. Maybe a parent is helping you with something of a financial nature, or you feel very blessed to be in a position to help a family member with financial issues. And you're like, yes, I'll help you. I will help you. 16th of September, careful when it comes to scams, lies, liars, misunderstandings, and miscommunications of a financial nature. Again, you might be spending money that you don't have, or you could be charged more than you are, more than you're supposed to be charged. There could also be a feeling of maybe being exposed to a reality that you don't necessarily enjoy or agree with or like that much when it comes to your partner's finances on this day. On the 19th of September, I actually like this date because it feels like you're making some sort of breakthrough when it comes to something that's been plaguing you in your relationship or in the area of relationships in general. Also, it seems like this is a good news when it comes to investments or when it comes to your partner's resources. 20th of September, a very, I want to call it pleasantly romantic day at home. Also a day of maybe kind of like improving stuff around the house and making them look more beautiful, which I say is always a plus. On the 23rd of September, the sun enters your 9th house for the next month or so in Libra, and it puts the spotlight on traveling with a partner, or on traveling to meet with a partner, or traveling to kind of like form a business partnership of some sort. 25th of September, 3 days before, 3 days after, there's a new moon in your 9th house. So you could be starting a new kind of like chapter of studies, especially higher education, academic studies. You could also start a collaboration with someone who lives abroad, or you might kind of like expand to a different market. You may also decide to kind of like commit to a new path of spiritual growth. I want to say that this is probably something that went through your mind for some time, or something that maybe a friend or an advisor or even a therapist or even your partner suggested to you a while back, and now it's finally happening. I mean, you're finally ready to make this commitment. You could pick back up where you left off, and it may feel like you're doing this with a new set of eyes. A spiritual practice, something that is meant to help you kind of like recenter yourself and ground yourself, especially in times of crisis, transition, and transformation. 26th, 27th, and 28th of September, I really like these. I mean, 26th and 27th, maybe some opportunities for investments, also some really enjoyable times from an intimate standpoint, but especially like maybe if you want to go away, kind of like go for like a weekend break or like a few days break throughout this period, I would go for it, because it may feel like it does a world of good, a ton of good to your relationship sector. Even if you're not in a committed relationship, you could be having some steamy, enjoyable days on the 26th and the 27th. Also on the 28th, I'd say it is possible. 28th seems like a fun time, a fun day of maybe socializing, of feeling like you've overcome what felt like a blockage on a personal level. You feel lighter, you feel like you know what you need to work on yourself, you've got more clarity, you seem to be kind of like super inspired with creative ideas. I'm liking it. I'm liking it. Your mind is on fire, and you may even feel like you've got the stamina to commit to something intellectually that you really enjoy and that you would really like to commit to. And from the 29th of September until the 23rd of October, Venus moves through Libra in your 9th house of foreign lands and foreign countries. Traveling abroad, very nicely aspected. Also a great time for anything of a legal nature. You could be receiving good news, even outstanding news, because Mercury is retrograde for some of this, for a part of this transit. It's also a time to really maybe find someone that you resonate with, that you connect with, that could offer spiritual guidance. In general, activities of a spiritual nature or even of a philosophical and academic nature are likely to be much more pleasant and enjoyable than they normally are with Venus transiting your 9th house. My dear Pisces, Pisces suns and Pisces risings, what does September look like for you? Well, a lot is going on for you relationship-wise. It may feel like everything actually revolves around the topic of relationships. Well, most of it, not everything, but most of it seems to revolve around the topic of relationships, Pisces, in September. Mercury is going retrograde from the 10th of September until the 2nd of October. There could be some delays in reaching an agreement with a business partner throughout this period. You might also feel like you have to collaborate, although no one is obviously forcing you to. But maybe it feels like you have to collaborate, you have to work together with someone who you've worked with in the past. You could also pick back up where you left off, some old issues within your relationship sector. Now, needless to say, it's Mercury retrograde, folks, and this is already such an important part of like pop culture, astrological knowledge. Especially for you, Pisces risings in particular, the exes are probably going to kind of like creep back up in your life, okay? Up to you what it is that you decide to do with this piece of information. Sometimes reworking something that was maybe not very clear as to whether it was worth it or not a while back might actually be a good idea. I know there's like such a kind of like, there's this like approach to relationships, especially rekindling old flames, that says, oh, never go back. Oh, no, that's always a bad idea. If it didn't work out the first time, it's not going to work out the second time. I'll put it out there. Maybe the first time, one of you wasn't ready, or maybe you have both evolved since you last connected. Think about it. Think about it. No one is forcing you to do anything, but maybe it is worth kind of like sitting down with yourself and asking yourself, okay, do I see this person with new eyes? Or have they actually changed? The reason why I keep on banging on about romance is also because from the 5th of September until the 29th, Venus transits your 7th house of relationships, and this is prime time for romantic developments, Pisces, throughout the year. It's probably going to feel like one of the most romantic times of the year. Also, from the 29th of September until the 23rd of October, Venus will transit your 8th house of intimacy, so definitely from the end of September until the last week of October, it may feel like you're enjoying this part of your life a lot more. It may feel easier to connect with someone, to kind of like get like super deep with someone, and to have those challenging conversations and maybe like open up and be raw and strengthen the connection, strengthen the bond. You might also feel inspired to reach out to someone from your past. Again, you've got the free will to do whatever you please. Remember that. But ask yourself, are they really worth it? And if they are, then why keep yourselves from kind of like taking the initiative and doing what needs to be done in that direction? Okay, so very romantic time. A couple of romantic months for you, my dear Pisces, with Venus in your 7th and in your 8th house. You may have kind of like clarity as to whether a relationship is worth it or not around the 10th of September, 3 days before, 3 days after, when you have a full moon activating your axis of relationships. You might also see yourself with new eyes within the context of relationships. This can be a culminating moment relationship-wise where you decide to say yes or no to someone. This full moon is very nicely aspected to Uranus in your 3rd house. So if you're single, then you are likely to connect with someone, to meet someone, but they're probably not 100% new. You probably know them already in some shape or form. Just remember that. You might also wrap up like a sale or a purchase around the 10th of September, and it feels like a success. But remember that Mercury goes retrograde afterwards, so you might need to like redo the papers anyway, moving forward. So be very kind of like careful what you sign up for. Obviously, I would not buy cars when Mercury is retrograde. I would not buy computers, telephones, devices, and so on. I would fix old ones, but I would not buy new ones. On the 3rd of September and the 18th, there may be a feeling of kind of like you being a little bit at odds with someone on the topic of money and finances. It may feel like there's a little bit of a face-off there. You might have a disagreement, an open disagreement, potentially with a parent or with a boss, with someone in a position of authority, I'd say. I would also sit down with partners in general, business and personal partners, on the 3rd and on the 18th, and ask them, inquire about their beliefs and their life philosophy when it comes to money, because you might not be on the same page. And these kind of like honest conversations, these authentic conversations are probably going to save you a lot of headaches moving forward on this very topic. On the 16th of September, there may be a feeling of disappointment with a partner. I'll just put it out there. Probably a business partner, because the sun is the ruler of your 6th house of day-to-day work. You might also feel like someone is lying to your face at work. You may also feel heavily criticized by someone in a work environment, almost as if they are like this open adversary that you need to be on the lookout for. Remember that Mercury is retrograde, so you might misinterpret what they say. Just putting it out there. I am liking the 19th of September. It feels like it's a fun time to get together with friends. It's also a good time to maybe sit down and have some significant, important conversations with a partner, business or life partner, about the future and about both of your goals and long-term plans. So I'll just put that on your radar. And especially about goals and plans maybe that you have postponed. On the 24th of September, I'm really not liking this romantically. You could feel like someone has been lying to you, or you could feel like you've misinterpreted someone's signals. Again, clarify, because maybe someone is actually like, maybe they're trying to like be of service to you, a romantic partner especially. They're trying to help you, and maybe there's this feeling of like, oh no, they're being critical towards me and I feel hurt, and why don't they love me as much as I love them, or why don't they like me as much as I like them? So just putting it out there. Let's see. 25th of September, 3 days before, 3 days after, there's a new one in your 8th house. So it feels like a new beginning in terms of your partner's finances, especially if you are with someone. If you're not with someone, you could feel like you're starting off a new chapter when it comes to your approach to investments, mortgages, loans, debts, and inheritances. You could also hear news connected with an inheritance or with a settlement, maybe something of a legal nature. Again, maybe it's something that was meant to come your way, or you were meant to hear news of some time ago, but finally, it is making its way to you now in Mercury retrograde. The past is coming back to your attention. You could also decide finally to clear out some debt. Again, something maybe that you've tried to do a while back, but now it feels like you've got the support of someone in your life that is really making this process feel a whole lot easier, okay? I like the 26th, 27th, and the 28th of September. Yes, I like them all. Like, just putting it out there. 26th and 27th for all matters of a romantic nature. Great for a date, great for going out and having fun with a romantic partner or with friends. If you're single, go out and you may meet someone, very possibly, or reconnect with someone that has been hanging out in your circle, but maybe you did not look at them as a potential partner. It also feels like you're in agreement and you're being very productive when it comes to work-related matters with a business partner or a collaborator. And you could find someone that is super helpful in kind of like clearing out some of the stuff that you have on your to-do list work-wise throughout this period. I'm liking the 28th because it feels like you're overcoming what feels like a period of like stagnation at home within your home and family life. And also it feels like you're making progress, radical, significant progress with getting out of old, outdated structures in your life, with Mars in Gemini in your 4th house, trining Saturn in the 12th house. Pisces, you've got a lot of cleaning up left to do until the 2nd week of March of next year. A lot of dissolving old structures, a lot of letting go of maybe pillars in your life that are no longer leading to growth. You could be leaving a home behind around the 28th of September. You could also be kind of like wrapping something up that required a lot of like mental energy and effort, home and family wise, so connected with property, but also maybe connected with some of the challenges that a parent might have had. And like I said, 29th of September until the 23rd of October, it might actually be a very productive month, almost like a month investments wise. There could be some good opportunities, also a great period for therapy and for kind of like strengthening an intimate connection with a significant other. Remember that this is not financial advice. You are completely responsible for everything and anything that you do with your money, just as an FYI. Folks, thank you for tuning in for your September horoscope. Remember that if you want to work with me, you can find me on my website, which is writteninthestars-astrology.com. I am taking bookings for the last part of September currently. If you're not following me on Instagram, my Instagram handle where I post almost every day, not every day, I'm not going to make promises that I can't keep. My Instagram handle is @ruxunbelievable. And if my content is useful and helpful to you, you can find the thanks button underneath the YouTube video and you can make a donation to support my channel. Thank you and enjoy September, folks. Bye.